представить вам Татьяну Иванову из VidFest.
I'd like to introduce Tatyana Ivanova. She will tell us about the festivals of bloggers and the entering of offline space.
Вчера
You know, when I found out that I was to speak at 6 o'clock at the last day, I thought there was going to be 3 people at my speech, and 2 of them are going to be my friends. So far, there's only 1 of my friends here. I hope there'll be more. So at least it's going to be about 10 people.
точнее, заманить к себе слушателей, потому что я понимаю, что сегодня уже, ну, как бы последний день конференции, 6 часов вечера, все устали. Вот. Я думала еще там в лобби раздеться, но потом решила, что лучше мы с вами на 10 здесь поболтаем, и, в общем-то, вы зададите мне те вопросы, которые вам интересны, а я расскажу вам про свой опыт организации.
So let me tell you about my experience of organizing big and small events for brands and non-brands with bloggers. So I'm going to try to build my speech. I'm going to tell you a little bit. And then those of you who are not my friends who came here to support me, you'll ask me questions. So, what do I do? According to the screen, I do nothing. So, I have a few projects. All of them are at different stages, and they aim at different stories, but the whole idea is working with bloggers. Like, I want to have a hello blogger, that it's more about more about lifestyle blogging. I'm also in game beats, that's more evident for you. And I'm in charge of different offline events with bloggers. And I'm also program director of a big festival of bloggers, VidFest. As Mr. Kiselov called it, the only blogger festival in Russia. So that's when we thought we're the best in this field. And most of my conversation today will be dedicated to that. If you have other questions on online collaborations, I'll gladly answer that, because right now 80% of projects I do, they're all with offline. So the problems we faced on VidFest is the same problems that most companies face, those that want to do activities in offline with bloggers. So in terms of 2 of my big and most significant projects is VidFest and VK Fest. For 3 years in a row, I'm the curator of the Blogger Zone. Have any of you been to those projects? Apart from my friends. Let me tell you a little bit about VK Fest. It's a festival, the social network of Kontakte. The festival concept is changing. First, it was the festival of everything. There was a festival of communities that are in offline, and now it's a festival of music and of interest that the average user of social network has. VidFest concentrates only around video blogging. However, my dream is to make this project not just about video bloggers, but about bloggers in general, and we're moving forward with it. It's, has varying degrees of success. Then as we started the VK Fest, it was just a jump into nowhere. At the time, the first VidFest already took place. I wasn't working in the festival team at the time, but for me it was the first clash with reality, with the audience, and with fandom. This is a gentleman in my glasses and my jacket. This is Vanya Rudskoy. It's one of the most popular video bloggers in Russia. I can tell you that, hand my height, up until today, there's been how many years, and Vanya's a wonderful person, but the day that Vanya Rudskoy appeared on the VK Fest is the worst day of my life. Why is that? Because as we were prepping the blogger zone, it wasn't a blogger zone. We thought we're gonna have a number of popular people, and there's gonna be some fans that's gonna come and see them. Well, I know 50, 60 people. They're all gonna fit into a small tent, ask them questions about, I don't know, butter or whatever kids ask, and we're gonna be done. Okay, apart from Vanya Ruskoy 10 by 10 to this 10 by 10 tent, I invited Katya Klap and Stas Davidov. And at some point, I figured at least I realized there's going to be an interval between them of an hour and a half. By noon, when our tent started working, in front of it we had about 500 people. So when Vanya Ruskoy appeared in that tent, we're all going to be buried in that tent, because the number of people that was coming forth, it was turning into rivers. Same story was happening with Klap and with Stas Davidov. And I figured, well, since they haven't bombed the tent, we need to do another round table in a bigger tent. It was 15 by 15, and into one tent I put Vanya Rudskoy, Listave, both of them, and Stas Davidov, and a number of other popular bloggers. So, 3 years ago, all of them combined probably had about 7 million subscribers. So those who came, that was a total nightmare of the organizers. And there's, top guys from Russian YouTube, and thought the first 3 minutes they pulled out all the sound from around, then the next minutes we lost all the sound, lost all the lights, and then we were occupied that we need to probably finish that round table right there, because the kids wanted just one thing, to as soon as possible to give them an opportunity to touch their idols. But this first stage that showed us a lot, the organizers. But the bloggers can't give anything to the kids. It's one thing when you talk to them, from the screen, but on the other hand, when you're trying to talk to them one-on-one, talk to them live, and the subscribers are afraid of asking questions, and the bloggers are not doing a very good job. And it's not a dialogue, but because they're both very shy, and there wasn't we didn't have a zone for autographs or taking pictures. And the need for this event, where subscribers can talk to their fans, it never came around. And even though we tried saying it that blogging is a small phenomenon, no one treated it seriously, but it was 3 years ago, and probably for the attention that they have, the situation now has seriously changed. And when I understood that the situation need to change, one thing that's required, and this is the situation what we had in the VidFest, We had a girl, Nastya Shpagina. It's a girl that's followed mainly by 15-year-olds. She puts good makeup and tries different images on. There's mainly girls who are like 13, 14. They bend the barriers that the soccer fans couldn't bend, and the guards that were there, they didn't know what to do with them because the girls wanted to get to Nastya so badly that they were putting everything out of the way. So whenever we do those big events with the bloggers, we talk to security that these are kids, and there's a lot you can't do to those kids which you could do with soccer fans or whoever. They have to explain, they have to explain everything very carefully. Have to ask them to move. No one's listening to that, and the worst on those events is not even the little girls, but their parents that bring them from different cities, and they think if they brought their kid to it, then their kid has to, stand in line to Yana Gordienko. And so, what is VidFest today? This is the picture. This is the first VidFest. That's the one that didn't work on. All the others are all my projects. I think it's gotten so much prettier now. So the main is to figure out the key trends. So those two skinny guys over there, you probably don't remember that conflict between the two of them that ended at our festival through a boxing match. It was fairly scary. I don't remember what they were playing. Oh, Minecraft. That was a very masculine game. Yeah. And they had a conflict of sorts, which they blew to a whole YouTube series, and a fight that they are two athletes, as you can see, one skinnier than the other. The battle lasted about 3 minutes and ended with they made peace, but it was very hyped up. And then in 15 minutes, although blogger publics, this information went public, and we're trying to get the most popular people. So we have top of the bloggers that our audience wants to see. And we're trying to find new formats that are interesting to the bloggers themselves. If Will Secom can talk for an hour and a half on any topic what has to do with games and hardware, he can do. But Vanya Rudskoy, in 3 years of communicating with the audience, he didn't become a good speaker. So with whatever questions you ask him, he answers usually with 1 or 2 words, but his audience, all 3 years, they get just in this fanatic state, and it doesn't matter what he says, or he don't have to say anything. They're just going to stand there and look at him and with love in their eyes. And this audience made them sing a song. He recorded a song for Lenovo. Well, in the video, and he sang it was all good. When he sang it live, but what amazed us, that in front of the stage there was about 1,000 people, and they all sang that song. And it's an amazing thing about the video bloggers. Whatever ad song they record, like Mariana Rohr, recorded also another song, and And that song Ivanova, kids also sang it from, top to bottom. And even though we're quite successful in St. Petersburg and in Moscow, but we realized we faced a problem. The second and third VidFest, they looked like, bloggers get together. And when you're trying to work with the content, and the audience isn't ready for it, they don't quite understand what they can give this content. Another big problem is that there's no competition in Russian. When you approach these projects, when you're getting the results, you understand it's probably like a one-time thing. So it's hard to call those projects, our competition. Second is the age of our audience. We have very different audience in different cities. In St. Petersburg, we have kids that our core is 18-22. In Moscow, they also come to the festival and hang out everywhere outside of the Let's Play zone. It's 13 to 17. So since we're based in St. Petersburg, in Moscow, we're prepping the program that targets an older audience, and those who, come see us, that, they're having a hard time with that program because people think this festival is, most important is for them to stand those lines to get selfies with their favorite blogger. And here's the thing that there's a conflict in that. Bloggers have no fun taking pictures with the audience for an hour and a half, but the audience doesn't want anything else. And we have to change the approach as to what we do on the festival. And this story about the, lack of content, it demotivated bloggers themselves. So this is these are the stats of where we've gotten to the past 2 years. So we've doubled the number of bloggers that take part in the program. There's about 130 of the participants. We increased the number of zones, and the number of visitors grew nearly twice, but then this number of people get in one day. So I have a lot of people, and all the zones that are in the festival, they're very saturated. So what did we do to change the situation with content? We've completely changed the zoning of the festival. So if before we just had autonomous areas of meetings, now we have there's the science tech, the Insta zone that's dedicated to Instagram bloggers, Let's Play zone, there's parenting zone. Because in Moscow we realized at some point in time, about 4 o'clock, there is an outflow from the festival because parents get tired. They have nothing to do. They brought their kids, they walked around, they got it, and then they said lunchtime, and we gotta go home. So we started entertaining the parents through seminars and psychology seminars, how to treat if your kid became plays for video games for 8 hours in a row. And we keep working that. It's an important story because looking at how your child is crying, please mom, let's stay, and mom saying, I'm done with this place. It's very sad. And as you know, the entire Russian YouTube is all thematic. We just pulled out the most evident segments. And we found 5 curators that were in charge of this, and we helped them work with content. So science and education, we have Yantoplis and Vilsakom. And we had other popular curators for other zones. So we've decreased the number of the autograph zones. We just slapped it, and we even introduced a cheap ticket. Those cheap tickets didn't give you any access to the autograph zone, but gives you a chance to move around the festival freely. And we're thinking the autograph zone, just put it in a separate zone so people hang out there the number of times they want to do, and help people get out. We formed a skeleton, about 30 people, with whose help we organize marketing, we make autograph sessions, photo sessions, the media material that help the festival. And the next point, we started attracting musicians that the kids like, because the festival always ends with a show. And last year in Moscow we called Cerebro, but turns out the audience that's like they did like what? Who are those old women? We know nothing about them. And this year we have Christian Kostov, who came in second on Eurovision. Anya Vardanyan, who does covers in her Instagram with Face. If you don't know him, it's a good thing. If you do, it's also good. But these musicians have one big little problem. All of their songs, they usually have a lot of, language. So apart from Face, there's other Russian rappers. They're all YouTube-based musicians. They're not on the radio, but their videos and songs get millions of views, and so we make a pact with the artists that they, have clean versions of songs. But the problem is, fortunately or unfortunately, kids know who's coming. So when you have 2,500 kids, quoting that song, it's rather dangerous in terms of law, because our event is, 12 years only, but we understand this for our audience. It's their chance to hear the people they love and try to look for compromise there.
As an outcome, so what we have finally, you see that it's a Face performing during the fest, and there are about 1,500 people singing to his tones, to his songs. Totally we had a record this year with 11 musicians and bloggers that were performing. Finally, at the final concert, there was a big Russian boss performing. So for the events, for the 12 plus events, so the key challenge is to make them stay till the end. With the big Russian boss, we were correct, we were right to invite him, because the entire audience rests and remained till the end during the festival. There was a very cool zone, cool area of science and research. There are many bloggers there popularizing science and research with many people involved. We had Sergei Revin, an astronaut who was replying questions of people, of youngsters, And regarding content, we have been preparing this zone, this area, for 3.5 months. So we have always met with the guys, and we're thinking up new activities and quizzes that could be popular in the zone, in the area. So there are two zones, two areas. The Let's Play zone, which is one of the core areas, one of the key zones we've been preparing, and also another zone, which is Science and Research zone. The key thing here is that we provided the opportunity to guys to tell everything about what they are doing. We organized various quizzes, and we saw that they liked the approach itself, and we liked our approach as well. And we saw that the content makers were present. They saw the presence of their participation in our festival. There is also another group of bloggers like Vanya Rudskoy. This year we had Kolya Soblev, who was the same because he attracted a lot of people. For him to talk just 5 minutes to attract many people, that was very interesting on the one hand, but we decided to do something else. We invited Satire, or Ilya, another blogger, and he does parodies to popular bloggers. And we also organized a competition between Kolya Soblev and the mock Kolya Soblev. Together, they needed to prove who is the real Kolya Soblev, who is the coolest guy performing. So that was the quiz that we organized, and the audience was to choose one of them. So generally, and as an outcome, the real Kolya Soblev was a winner. But of course, our intention was that the mock Kolya won. So the most understandable zone is the Let's Play zone, and Maxim is the curator of this area. He is the one who does everything to make my fantasies a reality. So the Let's Play zones and the Science and Research zones are the coolest areas during the festival, in my opinion, because we add a lot of content there. And we have the auction, public talks, lectures. We also organize different tournaments of bloggers performing with each other, and months before the VidFest, bloggers start to contact me because they like what they're doing, because they like the environment, the atmosphere. Besides VidFest, we have the Premier Like, the the Like Prize, because we removed it from the festival because it takes a lot of time to organize it. It's a very significant prize for video bloggers, and this year we coincided it with another event by YouTube. They presented their golden buttons, and we presented our golden likes to the most popular bloggers, to the people chosen by the audience. Likes are an interesting story, and everyone understands this concept. We haven't tried partnerships in streaming because it was a quick project without involving additional tools from YouTube. But I think next year probably we will try that. We will think about it and run a live show, a live streaming at a good level to be compared to Oscar or something else, probably not as ambitious as Oscar. So we tried a couple of times, we tried to attract bloggers on the basis of their interests. We talked to some people. It was like we were coming up to a blogger and we started discussing with Valentin, for example, on his interests and organizing the specific content for his area. For example, with Valia, who is one of the most popular bloggers, there is the unboxing topic. And together we decided to organize an unboxing session of bloggers. We prepared questions for bloggers that are usually not asked during interviews. If you reads interviews with bloggers. They are always template, having the same questions on what was your first video, when you started your blogger career, what's your opinion of haters, and others. And we ask many questions to them, and in my opinion, our questions were completely different, and we created those questions without the bloggers. We did it with different people than those that took part in the unboxing session. So people who come to visit us, they are interested in smarter content, and bloggers are also interested in smarter content, especially when they are involved in this content. There is a group of people with many videos, and they outwardly say that they are ready to curate, to play the role of curator, but they're not ready to involve in the program at like 80% rate. And with Jan Lepotko, we gathered many bloggers, we thought up key areas, and then Jan left for 1 month to do videos, and we finished this process with other members of the group, of the team. And it is always key to have our festival organized on a dedicated platform. There is a museum at Revolution Avenue in St. Petersburg. That is the venue where our festival takes place. There is this old administrative building in the middle, and we always try to adjust flows of people to avoid jams. So during the next event, we will try to find opportunities to find another platform, another venue which could integrate our festival and make it interesting, because we had some previous festivals at various venues involving some usual buildings, and whatever decorations you perform, it is usually not enough. Having an ordinary pavilion is not enough for our festival, so that's it. That's it. It's almost it. 5 minutes left. So this was the quickest data, the quickest information that I could squeeze into our today's session regarding brand integration to the project. Yesterday I visited Roberto's speech at MDK, and he was speaking on the conventional branding, which is no longer efficient, which is no longer working, and our partners sometimes try to organize dedicated scenes and integrate bloggers into these scenes, and it is something that is not quite efficient. There is the single exception of difficult integration, organizing difficult, complex tournaments. If bloggers are not integrated to the festival fabric itself, they are not actually efficient within its program. So probably there are a couple of questions from the audience. Now, I have a question. Are you planning to integrate cyber sports, esports, to the festival? Well, if I was the one to decide, I would include only cyber sports to the festival, but we in the festival have a dedicated project which is called the Game Planet. It will take place in December. So we will not expand the festival in terms of esports. I think esports are interested in for 40% of people, and those are the people, the audience. Those are the people that like the Let's Talk and Let's Play zone. So other participants are girls chasing their idols. So what about parents of boys? Men in our festivals visit Parents Zone. Parents Zone is 100% for moms. It's a haven of silence. I run around the festival. When I go and visit this zone, I see different mummies knitting or discussing fashionable trends. Thank you for your interesting presentation. Thank you for visiting. a whole new world for me that you discovered. You don't have competitors in Russia. What about overseas? Did you adopt some ideas from overseas? We have YouTube festivals in the United States and we look at them too. We try to learn from them. So the key thing I want to adopt from there is the shift of is shifting the awareness of our audience. The biggest challenge of such a festival is that we face some negative concerns that people are queuing up to have a signature, to have an autograph of their bloggers, and they become haters. They visit our webpage and they start telling us about their negative experience of visiting festivals. For the first festival, we provided the opportunity for autographs to attract people. Then after that, we introduced autograph tickets for 400 and 200 rubles. Then we had these autograph sessions that did not involve many queuing up and lines. Probably we will try to make tickets with autographs more expensive. Autographs abroad are available to people having VIP tickets, and it will reduce the number of people with a negative experience. It will lead to the situation with smaller queues because there will be only 1,000 tickets like this available. So our task is becoming more challenging because we need to think something up for the audience that are not interested in autographs. So we need to think about another types of content. But this is the only way to address this issue, to reduce people who want to line up to get an autograph. But our people have different mentalities, so to have a normal adaptation and implementation of this tool, we need a couple of years. When we had this paid autographs, blank autograph tickets, we faced some negative feedback. So people didn't like higher prices. Recently I visited New York, the CS championship there, and I was deeply impressed there. There were people, volunteers, people attacking their idols and trying to break the security barrier. That was what we saw. But what we saw there is actually people were just sitting and silently waiting for a chance to have this autograph. So everything is quite well organized. So people treat this situation softer there, and I like that very much. So program-wise, we are okay. We are completely okay. But regarding queuing up and lines, we need to somehow address this issue to deal with it. Of course, it's a problem, so it will take 2 more years to address it further. Questions from friends. Hi. You mentioned for your first VidFest, bloggers were not good at answering questions, and during the 2 years it didn't change for the better greatly. It did change. They're more accustomed to communicating with people online, and they didn't expect that so many people would come to visit them. Such bloggers like Vanya, they are not accustomed to having this live audience. So probably after 40 minutes he could become a talkative person, but for 40 minutes it's not possible for him to keep silence during this big audience. So they get accustomed to this publicity. Yesterday there was those Minecrafter parrots. He's good at telling things at camera. When you talk to him in private, he's also talkative, but when he is facing people at the stage, his communication skills go down. So yesterday that was his second public speech. VidFest, last VidFest, there were two bloggers in their competition. Was it interesting to you personally, or it was something done on their initiative? We thought that it would be possible to organize this tournament, so we wanted to have this battle between them, and we had some ambitious plans to have them, but at some point they addressed us personally and they wanted to organize it themselves at our platform as one of the key blogger events. So they said they wanted to have a battle on our platform. So we improvised the ring, and together with Sergei Simonov, a blogger, who was a trainer of Aslagor, of Oramir. So I actually regarded it as a madhouse, you know, what was happening there. And I felt that they could just injure one another. So with their trainers and with the guys themselves, we were discussing that they will fight till first blood, but after first kicks, it was understood, it was evident that they were not going to injure one another. So Varomir was fighting, and well, he managed to hit Aslagor, and there was blood in his mouth. So after that, we finished the match. So I want to have another versus attack at VidFest, but there is a challenge here because we need to organize it in some way or another. It's a story, is a stand-up, something like a stand-up. So for such a platform, it is not easily and is not readily feasible. There is not enough energy, and the energy here is dispersed to 2,500 people, and so I don't think we will have versus. So probably by the next VidFest, the idea of a versus will not be just relevant. You mentioned the event in December, the Game Planet event. There will be the cyber sport game on October in December 9-10th. On December 9-10, there will be such event. I'm responsible for bloggers regarding concepts, and there is Maxim is responsible for other things. So please do visit. We'll have the costumes of Princess Leia, and we'll have a great party. Thank you for joining my presentation.
H4C with another one of our speakers. Hello, please introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Leszek Szczepański. I'm a senior gameplay programmer at Guerrilla Games in Amsterdam.
Great. So tell us, let's talk games. What's your favorite video game?
Neverwinter Nights.
That's an awesome choice. What's the very first game you've ever played?
I don't remember. I mean, I had an original Nintendo, so I played like Contra or Mario. But the first game I actually remember playing well was Doom. I was way too young to play it.
That's some time ago. How did you get into the industry?
Actually, I was a little bit lucky. I was studying at the time, and like in between universities, so to speak. And my sister said, "Hey, there's this company doing games. Would you be interested in applying?" I applied, and I got a job in mobile industry. And for 5 years, I did mobile games until I figured I'm done and started doing console games.
Not bad. But if you had the chance to go back to the time and give yourself one advice, what would it be?
Don't worry about school, just make games.
You hear that? That's what I'd want. So tell us, what do you like and hate about the modern industry?
Okay, so my perspective might be a little bit weird because a lot of people complain about the crunch, working conditions, so on and so forth. I've been really lucky where I work right now because the working conditions are really, really good. The only thing I can complain about the AAA industry is that even being like in a senior position, you don't have that much control over what you're building. And you have dreams, you have things you want to build, but you're still like part of the process. If you're like in a 200, 300 person team, you would like to make a bigger impact. On the other hand, we are building amazing things. It's wonderful to work like 5 or 7 years on a project, and after seeing all these prototypes, bugs, failed builds, and so on and so forth, see the thing on YouTube or on the disk and actually playing out more than you had imagined, and much more than you could have built on your own.
Well, speaking of building things on your own, imagine you had full creative financial freedom over your own project. What would it be then?
Oh, I'm a horrible nerd, so I would just create like an isometric role-playing game. So something like Fallout or Baldur's Gate. So something like that. I'm not sure about the setting, maybe something futuristic, but like a really hardcore isometric role-playing game. That would be something I would do on my own.
Speaking of futuristic, where do you see the industry going in the future, like in 10 years' time? Maybe some breakthrough technology?
Oh, I'm not really sure. I mean, we've been talking about the end of PC gaming, end of console game for years now, and it didn't happen. So I think that there will be small revolutions coming on, like new technologies, new ideas, but we will be still sort of standing on the shoulder of giants. So PlayStation will be there, Xbox will be there, Nintendo will be there, and there will be a lot of stuff, and we will continue growing. Consoles will continue growing, PC will continue growing, mobile will continue growing, and new technologies like VR, AR, or God knows what else will also continue growing. That's what I think, at least.
Is crossplay gonna become a thing, you think?
Sorry?
Is crossplay going to become a thing?
Like between different consoles? Or
Yes.
I think so. I mean, there's only benefit to that, right? And it already happened before with different games. So I think it will happen, but it's not up to people like me to make it happen.
Well, speaking about tech, we have VR, AR, and lots of amazing stuff. Do you think these new input methods will eventually replace conventional controllers or not?
I definitely don't think they will replace. I think they will be their own thing in their own right. So people were talking about mobile replacing normal games, and that didn't happen. People were talking about mobile replacing even handhelds. And yes, the handheld market is so much smaller, but it's still there. I mean, how many people bought the Switch and walk around with a Switch, right? So I think VR and AR will be just another market. More people are coming into gaming and they want other ways to play.
Yeah, definitely. We're trying to see into the future here at 4C. And what's your opinion on the conference so far?
It's really nice. It's actually well organized. I'm surprised that organizers can manage all this herd of cats, like speakers and the guests and everyone, so it's going quite well. I haven't seen a lot of talks just yet, but I looked at the talk list. It seems pretty interesting. There's definitely some knowledge which I'll be able to take out of this, and I'm looking forward to that.
Any particular speech you're maybe looking forward to?
To be frank, I'm so freaking out about my own talk that I haven't figured out this specific one I want to see. But I made like a small list. I circled in our brochure, so I'll be looking into what I would really want to see.
If you heard your own talk from the audience, what question would you like to ask yourself?
Whoa, that's a difficult question. I'm not really sure. I'm kind of hoping that I'm giving all the information that I'm supposed to give. So I hope there won't be that many things unclear that will require more questions. I'll be talking a lot about component-based architecture, and maybe that would be useful to elaborate on that. Why Gorilla started with component-based architectures, why everybody's doing it pretty much. Maybe something like this.
Well, hopefully you find the needed answers, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Hi, we're here with one of our speakers. Hello, please introduce yourself.
Hello everyone, I'm Alex Babko, Head of Global Special Projects at Wargaming.
So Alex, tell us, what have you got to show us?
Well, today and these days at 4C, like the world's best game designers, game developers are sharing their experience with everyone here at 4C. And Wargaming also introduces our best practices here, and today we show to all the attendees the new augmented reality experience that Wargaming has recently built. So basically we've taken the Sturmtiger from World of Tanks to real life, so that more people around the world can experience it, can interact with it, and that's basically what happens behind our backs. So those guys with HoloLens and with the Google Tango device are seeing the future, because they see the Sturmtiger here in the at the conference, but all people around them who don't take the devices, they basically can't see that, but those guys are already seeing future.
Sounds amazing, but how does it work?
Technically it's a Unity-based application, but available on the Microsoft HoloLens and on Google Tango device. But from the storytelling standpoint, it's part of Wargaming approach towards preserving history, so that we take the model from World of Tanks, which is really unique in real world, so only 2 Sturmtigers left in our world. But with help of augmented reality, we bring it to as many people as possible, so that they can explore this masterpiece of engineering.
So basically we can relive history with this device, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. So this experience is already available at the Tank Museum in Bovington, as well as in the Museum of History of Great Patriotic War in Minsk. And we will bring it even closer to other locations as well.
Pretty cool. Can we see how it works?
Yeah, definitely. So we can now pick up the Microsoft HoloLens and see what's inside, as well as maybe show to the watchers some screenshot from the tablet, where you can also experience the augmented reality.
I'm standing near the Sturmtiger, a tank that has been recreated in augmented reality. It's so near I can almost touch it, except I can't because it isn't there. But I can clearly see it, I can see into every little detail of it, and there's actually a guide telling me about the story, the history of this great vehicle. I hope you can see it on the screens. This is truly amazing technology. This is the future of museums and probably a lot more. This is amazing.